I planned the hell out of this trip. I can't even tell you how many hours I spent researching hotels, transportation, activities, weather. Don't even get me started on how much thought went into packing. And then the time finally comes and all you can do is hope that it lives up to expectations. Well, you know what they say about plans. The plan was San Diego to Philadelphia on American, Philadelphia to Heathrow, London on British Airways, and then to Dubrovnik. And it was supposed to take around 19 hours, including flight time and layovers. We had almost 3 hours in Philadelphia, so we decided to lounge hop. This was our first time in a British Airways lounge. It was different than other lounges we'd been to in that everything is self-service, including the alcohol. We knew that everything would have to go perfectly to make our tight connection in Heathrow, and when our flight was delayed out of Philadelphia, well, let's just say we were going to try, but we were pretty sure we weren't going to make it. We settled in for our 7.5-hour flight to London. I'm a huge fan of business class for obvious reasons. I would not want to spend the money, but he insists, and so business class it is. And yes, it's expensive, and I cringed when we bought our tickets, but in that moment, I was really glad that we'd spent the money. It makes flying such a breeze. I like to eat, drink, watch a movie, and stay awake until my eyes won't stay open any longer. Then I sleep and wake up for breakfast and another movie, and the flight just flies by. The food was very good, and it was a very comfortable flight. And sure enough, we missed our connecting flight. Heathrow is a bit of a madhouse. You have to go through security and passport control. There were a lot of bag searching going on, including mine. I missed a liquid, and it's very busy, so it's best to have at least 2 hours, probably more, to absorb the delays. We went to ticketing, and they were telling us that they could get us on a flight the next day. No, we were not happy with that, so they switched us to a different airline so that we could get a flight out that day. Only thing is, we'd have to sit for 6 hours in the airport waiting on that flight and do an extra layover in Amsterdam. British Airways could get us to Amsterdam, and then from there we would take KLM from Amsterdam to Dubrovnik. They did not put our checked luggage on the missed flight. It made it on our flight to Amsterdam, but did not make the transfer over to KLM. So we made it out of Amsterdam to Dubrovnik, but our luggage did not. Our travel time went from 19 hours to 35 hours. This was just one day before the CrowdStrike IT outage, so it was bad, but it definitely could have been worse. We were exhausted. It took us about 30 minutes at a cost of $40 to take a taxi from the Dubrovnik airport to our hotel. And luckily it was arranged by the hotel, so we were in communication and they let the taxi driver know that we were going to be late. Does it feel like 35 hours?
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get those bags tomorrow. We made it to our hotel at 12:15 a.m. Our hotel felt more like a small studio apartment. I chose it because it was a really good location right near Old Town and the reviews were good. There were some fancier places that caught my eye, but the price was right on this one and I saw it as an opportunity to save money. It was clean, plenty of storage, which is often a big problem in Europe. The bathroom was really tiny, but it would work. The shower was super tiny and I kind of felt like I could never quite get the water to be really hot, but it wasn't terrible. It was fine.
It looks spotlessly clean. I just wanted to see what was out there.
This is the beautiful view that we woke up to the next morning. You can see that that's the Old Town and the walls around it. This is what it looks like on the outside. It's a walk up, no elevator. We were on the 3rd floor. It's a small family-owned property. There is no 24-hour front desk, but the owners live on the property, and it was really easy to communicate with them through text via the Booking.com app. It was a really great place to stay if you can handle the stairs. We got a late start, and we were totally fine with that because we really needed the sleep, and I intentionally did not pre-schedule anything for that day. We realized 2 things immediately. 1, it's extremely hot and humid, And 2, there were going to be a lot of stairs on this trip.
Hopefully we're going in search of food.
There was one laundromat here down the stairs from our apartment and another one just outside Old Town. Dubrovnik is an old, ancient city dating back to the 7th century, and it is just beautiful. I could see that right away as we headed towards the Old Town. These buildings are so old and carry so much history. This is Menseta Tower, and it is one of 6 forts in Dubrovnik that were built to protect the city way back in the 1400s. We entered Old Town through Buza Gate, which is one of the 3 gates to get in. It takes you into the less populated part of town. This is the moment when I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in Europe. I mean, just look at that. It is just so incredible. We hadn't been to Europe in 7 years, and I was so excited to be back. This is the main street in Old Town, known as the Strata. It's made of limestone. It's really shiny and smooth, like glass. It's really pretty and kind of slippery. The water from Onofrio's fountain comes fresh from a spring.
It's cold? Nice.
A must-do in Dubrovnik is to walk the city walls. We got the tickets at the end of the main street for €35 each. Tickets also get you into Fort Lovrijenac. What's really fascinating about Dubrovnik is that it is a walled city. The old town juts out into the Adriatic Sea.
I'm breathing hard.
And it's surrounded on 3 sides by water. The wall was built in the 13th to 17th century for protection. The forts were built in key locations to protect entry gates and access by water. These walls circle most of the old city and run about 6,360 feet in length and up to 82 feet high. Fort Bokar protected Pile Gate. If you didn't already know this, many seasons of Game of Thrones, starting with season 2, was filmed in Dubrovnik. This is King's Landing. It was really neat to be in the place where that show was filmed, not only because I love the show so much, but also because it's such an ancient, beautiful city. You really do feel like you have taken many steps backwards in time. These are truly some of the best views in town.
Find it.
Basketball.
The temperature was around 88 to 89 degrees during the day and mid to low 70s at night the whole time we were there. The humidity was 80%, and that's what really gets you. I saw a few unicorns that did not appear to sweat, but for the most part, the city was full of people sweating through their clothes because it was just so hot and humid, and there's just nothing you could do about it. My husband went to Croatia in 2012 when they were still using their own currency, and it was really cheap. It wasn't on my radar until more recently, but Croatia has always been a popular tourist destination. Tourism did take a hit during the Croatian War in the early 90s. Dubrovnik was the site of a siege, but it came back in the late 90s and has only grown since then. Game of Thrones fueled that popularity, but Dubrovnik was already an amazing and popular place to visit on its own. They adopted the euro in 2023, and that has definitely made prices go up. It took us about an hour and a half to walk the whole thing. It felt like longer because we really took our time. Lots of different areas to explore and so many stairs.
Ooh. Our reward for all of those stairs.
This drying rack we found in the bathroom came in very handy throughout the trip. According to our air tags, our luggage is on the way, so we're gonna have a drink before dinner with this alcohol that's in our room. Brandy and cherry liqueur. Cheers. Waiting patiently for luggage. I have all my clothes. You have, that's it. You're done.
A pair of shorts.
Still waiting, still waiting. You know, I'm really glad it's coming, but this is like cutting into our vacation time, and I don't appreciate it.
Yours? Yes, yours.
Oh.
Thank you.
Yay.
The traffic in and out of Old Town was pretty insane every night. There are no cars allowed in Old Town, and there's very limited parking throughout the city. We were actually told by our hotel that we're better off not bringing a car, and that they only had a few spaces available for parking. A car is really not necessary. Dubrovnik is small, and public transportation is available to get to other towns. It was definitely a warm night, and I was already hot from walking from our hotel, but there usually isn't any AC inside, and I love how they set up tables and chairs outside anywhere they can find space in Europe, and you get to eat dinner outside in charming alleyways and cobblestone streets. The ambiance was perfect, and the food was great.
Take a sip.
Dubrovnik is really beautiful at night too. I just really love wandering around the city.
Loosening up the skirt.
Yes, that's gelato twice in one day.
Now you be careful. Come on the
Okay,
sides.
thank you. Yum.
If we didn't have AC, we would be done.
Oh my God.
It is so hot.
Lotion. Oh, we were so dry. So dry.
Until we went outside and then we were just wet. The next day, rather than walking all the stairs all the way into Old Town, we saved ourselves some steps and also some money by grabbing food at this bakery. So this is a meat croissant, chocolate croissant. We're gonna try out these mixed beverages. And this is breakfast because it's easy and it's less expensive than eating at a restaurant. Also, it's 2 o'clock, so I guess technically it's brunch. Don't judge. I'm gonna clean it up after I finish this. Refreshing. This set of stairs goes from our apartment to the street above Old Town where the bakery is, and then there is an additional set of stairs that leads down to the Old Town. It's a lot. So taking a break halfway through all the steps, trying to preserve our energy and sweat less if that's possible. We shall continue. For the record, sweating less was just not possible. But I tried. This is the Gate of Pile. It's the main gate and the way to get in without having to go up or down stairs. This is a legit drawbridge that was closed every night to protect the Old Town. And there used to be a moat on either side. The only plan for this day was our Game of Thrones tour, and I know we can always look things up online, but I thought it would be fun to actually do the tour, see more of the city, and learn more about one of our favorite shows. Fort tickets are not included in the tour. If we'd saved our tickets from walking the walls, we could have used those to get into Fort Lovrijenac, but unfortunately we didn't know that. We paid another €15 to get in. Too bad they were just sitting in our hotel. This is Hotel Excelsior, where Game of Thrones cast members stayed, and you can stay there too for about $700 per night. There isn't too much going on inside. They put on theater performances there in the summer, and it's another place to see some beautiful views. In Game of Thrones, this was the Red Keep. Scenes from the show were filmed with those beautiful arches. Like all the other forts around Old Town, it was built to protect the city. Legend has it that the Venetians wanted to build a fort here and take control of the city, but the people of Dubrovnik beat them to it and built it first. This was another filming spot from Game of Thrones. I really liked the tour. It was 2 hours long, and I also liked that we had earbuds attached to a small speaker where we could hear everything that the tour guide was saying. This was the location of one of the most unforgettable scenes from Game of Thrones. Shame, shame. We each had our moment on the Iron Throne, and then the tour was over.
I am worn out.
We wanted to do one nice dinner out in Dubrovnik at an authentic Croatian restaurant, so we went to this place called Kapun. Reservations are recommended, so that's what we did because it gets very busy. Right across from the restaurant, we got to witness this bride and groom in their triumphant moment, and it was really neat to see. I got the traditional Dubrovnik pasticata, which is beef meat with homemade croquettes on the side, and he got capone, which is a type of chicken, and according to the menu, it is based on a recipe from the 19th century. There is a lot more to do in Dubrovnik than we did. They have a suspended cable car where you can get some awesome aerial views of Old Town, ferry to Lokrum Island, and if you buy the Dubrovnik City Pass for the same price as the walls, you can get access to the fort, museums, art galleries, plus bus passes.
Again. Don't judge us.
That's just to name a few. However, our vacation was just getting started. This was our first stop of many, and I went in knowing that we were not going to be able to do everything in every city. And the reality of it is that the heat is a factor in the summer months. It's a lot more physically draining to do everything when it's that hot. My legs were weak. I consider myself to be a decently in shape person, and they were just trembling sometimes just from walking up and down so many stairs. And again, heat is a factor. The stairs would have been a lot less difficult to handle in cooler temps.
372 total.
Gosh. The AC feels amazing.
I loved our time in Dubrovnik. If you want a medieval city with tons of history,
We're all checked out.
with glimpses from an era that you only get to see recreated in movies now, then Dubrovnik is the city for you. We had an 11:30 a.m. bus to catch to get to Split. Croatia does have Uber, but we used the Bolt app for the 10-minute drive to the Dubrovnik bus station. The bus station is tiny, only a few seats inside. They do have restrooms and a place to buy food. We had a 4-hour and 15-minute bus ride to Split, which ended up being closer to 5. We bought some sandwiches for the ride, and we were on our way to our next adventure.
I'm all shiny.
That morning, I woke up with a painful rash on my side. Unlike anything I'd ever felt before, I basically just hoped it would go away, but little did I know just how bad it would get. We were supposed to have assigned seats, but they sent a different bus and it was just open seating. The overhead space was really narrow, not even a backpack would fit, which I didn't expect because they do allow a carry-on. I had my big backpack wedged under my seat and I put my feet on top of it. In retrospect, the ferry might have been a nicer ride. It takes 4.5 to 5.5 hours also, so it's not really quicker, but the bus was a tad cheaper. And I was just happy that I wouldn't have to worry about any missing luggage. And so excited that we still had so much left of our vacation. On to Split.